All right, we're going to be reading today an article from the Zohar. 2 points.
Passing the barrier. Rabbi Chia began and opened the beginning of the Hakma wisdom in fear of the Creator, and those who observe this rule receive all the goodness. He asked, the beginning of wisdom. One should rather say that the end of wisdom is the fear of the Creator. For fear of the Creator is the property of Malhut, which is at the end of Hakma, wisdom. He replies, yet Malhut is the beginning of the entrance to the degrees of reception of the supernal wisdom. Hence, it is written, open to me the gates of justice, meaning that the gates of Malhut, called justice, are the Creator's gates. And if man does not enter these gates, he shall not reach the supernal king through any other, for he is concealed and detached and has erected many gates on the path to him.
Relax to the entrance to chambers. Again, 121. And at the end of all the gates, he erected a special gate with several locks, several entrances, and several chambers, one atop of the other. And he said, whoever wishes to reach me, let this be the first gate on his way to me. Whoever enters through this gate will enter. Only this is the first gate to the supernal wisdom, the gate of fear of the Creator, Malchut, which is hence called beginning.
Egoism and altruism. 122. The letter Bet in the word Bereshit in the beginning indicates that the two are joined together in Malkut. Both are points. One is concealed while the other is revealed. However, since there's no division between them, they are called the beginning, which signifies only one rather than two, for he who takes one takes the other as well, and all is one. For he and his name are one, as it is written, and ye shall know that this is the Creator's only name.
Receiving bestowal. 123. Why is Malchut called fear of the Creator? It is because Malchut is the tree of good and evil. If man merits, it is good, but if he does not, it is evil. This is why fear dwells in that place, and this gate leads to all the goodness that exists in the world. All the goodness signifies two gates, 2 points that are as one. Rabbi Yossi said that all the goodness refers to the tree of life, for it is entirely good and completely without evil. And because it is without evil, it is entirely good without evil.
End of correction. 124. To all those who act, it is the faithful mercy of David that upholds the Torah. Those who keep the Torah seemingly create it themselves. All those who study the Torah, there is no action in them as they study, but those who keep the Torah, in them there is action. And the world exists by this force. Eternal are the wisdom and the Torah, and the throne stands just as it should stand.
So what do you think of the portion?
Well, I'm confused.
I thought it was amazing.
What about the gate of tears?
So we can go over this from the beginning.
I have a question.
Yes.
Right off the bat, talking about Malchut being fear of the Creator, and me being it the first gate, and I would say that's like the entrance, passing the barrier, pretty much.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's our passing the barrier. That's the title. So what we have here, I'll give a little explanation. So we've got Rabbi Chia begin and opened. The beginning of Chochmah wisdom is fear of the Creator. And those who observe this rule receive all of the goodness. So what we're talking about is, we're talking about the passing of the barrier, and we're going to be talking about the 2 points, which is the name of the article. It's talking about you've got the point of Bina, which is the point in the heart that becomes the screen. And you've got the ego, which is the second point. So you've got those 2 points and they become one. Just like we say before the barrier, you're receiving bestowal. So even though you think there's a change of form there, just like we have, we talked about it on Saturday, we talked about how we have the, it says his name and here in his name was one. So we've got you could say the altruistic part, which is he. We've got the egoistic part, which is his name. And they're one. It's like, how could they be one? Since isn't egoism and altruism total opposites? And it says, because you want to use your egoism, which wants to receive filling. And you've got altruism, which is power. Since you're wanting to receive power, then there's no change of form. If you're wanting to receive filling, then there's change of form, because receiving filling is different from power. But if you're wanting to receive power, then there's actually no difference between them, since what you want and what you get is the same. So it says, he asks the beginning of wisdom. One should rather say that the end of wisdom is the fear of the Creator, for fear of the Creator is the property of Malchut, which is at the end of Chochmah, wisdom. So if you look at these Sfirot top down, you've got Keter at the top and you've got Malchut at the bottom. So you would think that the bottom would be the end of wisdom, which is the bottom of the 10th Sfirot, would be called the fear of the Creator. Because it says, for the fear of the Creator is the property of Malchut, which is the end of Chochmah, wisdom. However, because we're going back up, we actually start from Malchut. That means we actually start using the ego. We actually start with working with the ego. Yes, Yossi?
But why is it referred to as fear of the Creator? What is the meaning of the word fear? Do I need to fear the Creator? What is that I need to fear?
So there's two ways we can relate to the light. It's either fear or love. So you've either got fear, which is called correction, and you've got love, which is called expression. So the idea is that from the barrier until the end of correction, we're mostly dealing with fear of the Creator, which means the correction of the desires. So you could say it's fear of falling into a shell, or plateauing, or mixing up bestowal and reception. So you're basically having to clean your desires. So the concept of cleaning your desires, which is correcting your desires, that's called fear of the Creator.
And the fear is, you said, the opposite of love.
Yeah, because love is expression. So love is when you're using power to manipulate events, and fear is cleaning your desires first. So you first clean your desires, which is fear, and then afterwards you can express with your desires that you've cleaned, which is called love.
So why is it not hate versus love? Why is it fear versus love?
Well, because you still have to use them. So it's not hate. You still have to use them. So it's fear. It's fear of plateauing, fear of falling into a shell. But you still have to use your desires, and that's why it's called fear. Think of it more as a structural thing and less sort of as a moral thing. The difference between a shell, plateau is when you're just slowing down, and a shell is when you either, if you're before the barrier, you just basically fall into your egoistic, feelings, and after the barrier, you think your sense of self is as the Creator, but you're actually your sense of self as the ego. So you could say there's two ways to fall into a shell, either by losing the goal, or by being emotionally overloaded, and then you also lose the goal, but you've got that emotional overload within you. It can either be very relaxing and have no goal, or be emotionally uptight and also not have the goal, but might think you still have the goal, but you don't.
Yeah, I think I think I was suffering in the last few days from the second, being emotionally overloaded and intense and totally burnt out.
And it is to minimize as much as possible, and that's what you have the group for, the environment. So when you cling to the environment, they can, depending on how deep the shell is, they can, get you out of it.
Can you put the screen again so we can see the writing on the wall?
Definitely. Notice what it says, and if man does not enter these gates, he shall not reach the Supreme King through any other, for he is concealed and detached and has erected many gates in the path to him. So unless you use the ego, you will not reach the Creator. So you have to use the justice, the revelation of your immature concepts. You have to clean your ego and use your ego to actually cross the barrier.
What caught my eye is the last sentence saying, and has erected many gates on the path to him. And I was talking to myself earlier today, and I said to myself that to a certain extent, going through all these pain points and all this process, it feels like going through many barriers, one after the other. It feels like it. In what way is the barrier different than all of those mini barriers I've been going through so far?
Normally when we refer to the barrier, it's a very distinct feeling. It's the first time when you're in a state of sensing yourself as the Creator. So it's not a situation or an event, but a state. It's like from day to night, you're in that state. Unless, of course, you fall into a shell.
So what you're saying, the difference is in the outcome, meaning the result of passing this particular barrier is that you move to a different state. But the method, the system of how to get there is simple, is identical to the same, meaning I have been collecting discernments and cleaning concepts, and this is what I need to do. As a result of that, at some point, I will find myself in a different state.
Exactly. The work we do from before the barrier until even after intercorrection, we're constantly cleaning our concepts. And it works the whole way. The idea is that on each degree, you're cleaning different concepts and working on different emotions and feelings and experiences, but you're cleaning concepts the entire way. That's why discernments is basically called Torah.
Discernments are called Torah?
Yes. The Torah from the word Ho'ah, which means what to do. It's like a path, a guidance. So the discernments guide you forward.
And I see at my stage, I'm at, having to have this, which would be wanting a filling, whereas if I want it, it would be for the power. I have to have that shit, because I'm hung up here, I feel, at the 4.4 right now.
Exactly. And think of it like I was talking today earlier with someone. It's the difference between being hungry and wanting a steak. So, when you go on a barbecue, right? So at the beginning, what they do, they normally put the chicken wings and the sausages. And all the children eat the chicken wings and the sausages. And then by the time the steaks come by, then, they're actually full. And who gets to eat the steaks? Only those that actually waited for them, knew they were going to come, waited for them, and wanted them, desired them. So you've got the kids that don't have a desire. They're just hungry. So they'll just eat whatever comes. So what do they get? They get the chicken wings and the sausages. But those who actually want the steak, that means they're not thinking about their hunger, which is the vessel. They're thinking about the light. They're thinking about their desire, what they want. Then they actually get the steak. So it's the same thing. You do not cross the barrier because you're in pain. That you're thinking of the vessel, that you're thinking of what you don't have. Rather, you cross the barrier because you're thinking of what you will have. You're wanting the power. You're wanting the Creator. You're wanting that quality of bestowal. Not because you're suffering the quality of reception, but because you have importance of the quality of bestowal itself.
Yeah, so instead of filling, you want bestowal.
Exactly. And that's why, leaving Egypt, is not crossing the barrier. Leaving Egypt is basically that movement into phase 4, and you start, really activating the egoism. The idea
Right,
that,
because they'd have the doubts there at the beginning too.
exactly, the passing the barrier in the story of the Torah is basically you've got the 3 days. I think it's called the 3 days of solitude or something like that before the Mount Sinai revelation. The Mount Sinai revelation is called receiving your first partsuf, your first face of Galgalta. You've got 3 days beforehand, which are those days of restriction, and that's called crossing the barrier. So it's a much later on in the story, and not when you leave Egypt, because you leave Egypt in a hurry. It means you're not leaving Egypt because you want to get out. You're not leaving Egypt because you want to go somewhere. You're just leaving Egypt because you want to leave Egypt. So it's called leaving Egypt. You're thinking about what you're leaving. But the receiving of the Torah, you're not leaving something, you're actually getting something. So the idea is when you cross the barrier, you're going towards something. You're not leaving the past, you're moving to the future.
Going back to the example of those who are hungry and those that want the steak, those that are hungry have a lack, a pain, and they're only interested in filling it up and not feeling the pain anymore.
Exactly.
Those that have a hunger, which is a kind of pain, but they put an intention on it. They say, I'm hungry. What would I like to have? I want to have a steak. The moment they visualize what they want, the moment they know what they want, they're already enjoying the steak from that moment on, even though they have not yet gotten it. They're like, they can feel it in their mouth, like, I can sense it coming. Is that what you're saying? Is that a fair description of the difference?
Exactly. You could basically say that's the faith. So the faith is, because you know you're going to get that steak, so you have faith above reason. Your reason says you have no steak. What's there to enjoy? But because you have faith, you're saying, yeah, but I'm going to get the steak, and therefore I'm going to enjoy the steak now, even though I'm not eating it. That's faith above reason. So the idea is that you're meant to reach that point where you're so obsessed, you could say, so lustful after the quality of the stole, that even though you haven't got it yet, you don't care. You want it so much.
Zakai, would it be comparable to there is a water hose that supplies water to different types of containers, different types of fillings, but you're no longer interested in tasting the water within any filling. You're egoistically wanting the water hose. You're wanting to have that water hose, and then that becomes that lolishmar, wanting the internal power egoistically.
Yes.
Versus wanting any type of water in any type of container. No, I want the water hose, and that's what's giving you the pull to want it in lolishma.
Right. I don't want somebody else to make my life better. I want to control my life. Like, if you think about it, the whole concept of the way we normally imagine heaven or hell, it's always somebody else pulling the strings, right? We go to heaven, somebody else are doing stuff, right? We never think of heaven as an active experience. It's always a passive experience. The same with hell. Somebody else is burning me. What do I play in the pot? I'm just passive. They're just burning me on the stake. So the idea is that even when we imagine heaven and hell, we imagine them as a filling experience, which means a passive experience. Filling is passive. Power is active, right? I have power. And the idea is to imagine heaven not as a passive experience, but as a active experience. You're going to want to do something with that power. You want to use that power. First, you're going to correct your desires to know how to use the power correctly. And then you're going to express your power. You're going to be able to manipulate and control other world receives, including your own.
But Maria, I just wanted to jump in and say that maybe you didn't mean it, but what I said to myself is that, yeah, I want the hose, but I don't want to give up on all of those tastes as well, meaning I'm taking all those buckets that it's filling, that the hose is taking, I'm taking all of them with me, and I'm taking the hose.
Yes.
I like, actually, it's very, it's such a great visualization. I mean, I can actually see myself standing with the hose in one hand and a bucket in the other, and I'm filling my bucket at the pace I want, at the type of water I want, you know, and it's me. Me is both the hose as well as the bucket. I like that visualization.
Yeah, it's a good visualization, definitely. So then we've got this where it talks about locks to entrances to chambers. So the idea is that a lock is when you feel lack of power, right? You feel locked up inside, means you don't have control. That same lock, then afterwards, when you unlock it, becomes an entrance. Just like when you unlock a door, it becomes the entrance to enter. And then when you enter in, then it becomes a chamber. And so at the end of all the gates, he erected a special gate with several locks, several entrances, and several chambers, one on top of the other. And he said, whoever wishes to reach me, let this be the first gate on his way to me. So it's talking top down, right? So at the end of all the gates, so if you look top down, the last gate, which is basically the entrance to crossing the barrier, right? There are several locks, several situations where you have to feel that lack of power, several entrances once you've sort of, you could say, unlocked that potential. And then you've got several chambers is where you can actually actualize it and actually go in. So you could say the entrance is a potential and the chamber is an actuality. Like when you're going to enter a room. So you're going to enter a room through the entrance, so you're potentially in the room. When you finally enter the room, enter the chamber, then you've actualized the desire. Whoever enters this gate will enter. Only this is the first gate to the supernal wisdom, the gate of fear of the Creator, Malchut, which is hence called beginning. So, you know, crossing the barrier, you cross with your ego.
But what is? I mean, I think gates are right. I can relate to that. But being inside the room or the chamber, being inside the chamber, is that like being in that new state that you're in after crossing the barrier?
So the idea is that when we're dealing with a certain desire, we go through three parts. We've got the unlocking part. You've got the lock, which you're unlocking, which is basically in the concepts. Then you've got having the desire in potential, which is called an entrance or a gate. And then you have the desire in actuality, which is the chamber. So the idea is you can go, for example, let's say you're going to be dealing with loving yourself, right, which is end of correction. So first, before the barrier, you're going to clean what does it mean to love yourself. So that's unlocking the lock, right? Because the lock is you don't love yourself. You don't understand that you don't love yourself. So you're locked. That's why you're like, you know, catch 22. And then you first have to unlock yourself, which means clean that concept that I don't actually love myself. Then you cross the barrier, which means to love yourself in potential, which is the entrance. And then when you reach into correction, that's called entering the chamber, because now you're loving yourself in actuality.
You said that there's unlocking of the gate, going through the gate, and being in the chamber.
Yes.
3 stages. And what I was asking is that it was weird for me because I'm missing the 4th stage, meaning we always have four
phases.
Our Bchinot D'Or Yashar, direct light.
4 phases of direct light.
For what? 4 stages of direct light?
4 phases.
Phases. Okay. So where's the 4th phase in this story?
So in this story, there's no 4 phases. The idea is that not everything is 4. In the desire mutation, there is 4. So we could say here, you could say you've got the first phase, which is when you're not even locked. So the first phase is when you're not even locked. The second phase is when you're locked. The third phase is when you are unlocked and entering the entrance. And then the 4th phase is entering the chamber. So you say the phase 1 is before even we're dealing with the lock. That's why the whole idea that the point in the heart is called the lock in the heart. Sometimes in the Zohar, it refers to the lock in the heart, which is the point in the heart. So, but that's only phase 2, which is basically 1.3 and above, because you've always got the darkness and the spirit of the previous phase that is included in the next phase. So in here we've got egoism, altruism. So the letter bet in the word Bereshit in the beginning, which is the first word of the Torah, indicates that the two which is egoism and altruism, are joined together in Malchut. Both are points. One is concealed, which is the point in the heart, and while the other is revealed, which is our ego. However, since there's no division between them, they are called the beginning, which signifies only one rather than two. For he who takes one takes the other as well. And all is one, for he and his name are one, as written, and you shall know that this is Creator's only name. So we talked about that the whole goal of egoism is to desire altruism. Right? And there's no division between them. There's no change of form between them because you're desiring power. So you're wanting to receive altruism, wanting to receive bestowal, receiving power. So even though receiving is normally used for filling, and bestowing is normally used for power, you're wanting to receive power, and therefore there's no change of form. They actually become one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Well, I can't get it. I mean, if I'm the only one, I can take it offline with you. But if there's others who,
so you've got the concealed. You've got the concealed, which is your point in the heart. It's concealed to you, right? That's when you start. When you're starting the work, you basically got a concealed part of you and the revealed part of you. The revealed part of you is your ego. You can see your egoism. You can see your desires and stuff like that. What is concealed for you is that desire for power, right? Which is the point in the heart, right? Which is the bina. You could say that the ego is malchut, and which is the revealed part, and the concealed part is the bina. Right? So you've got bina in malchut, and you've got the point in the heart. So it's point, which is the bina, in the heart, which is malchut. Right? And the idea is that...
Wait, hold on a second. Why are you moving from malchut to bina? I mean...
So you've got bina, which is the point in the heart. You've got malchut, which is the ego.
Bina is the second phase, right?
Yes. So the idea is you got phases, which is bina and chokhmah and bina. You've also got qualities. So you've got bina and malchut, which are qualities. Bina is bestowal, malchut is reception. So if you've got bina in malchut, it's the bestowal, which is concealed within the reception. So it's the point in the heart. The point is the bina in the heart, which is malchut. Right, the names are used in different contexts. Depends if you're talking about phases or talking about qualities, etc. So here, when it's talking about the points, it's talking about the point of bina and the point of malchut. And it talks about it afterwards. What was it? It talks about it. No, it's not here. Sorry.
What are those 2 points? It says the two are joined together in malchut. What is those two that they're talking about here? Because they didn't say.
So the first point is bina, which is the concealed, which is the point in the heart. And the second is the heart, which is the ego. So you've got the concealed, which is the point. The revealed is the heart. The heart is called the ego. So there's the 2 points. But the idea is then you would think, well, if the 2 points, isn't there a division between them? Isn't there a change of form between them? Since one is clearly the bestowal point, the other is the egoistic point. So how could they be equal? And the reason why they're equal is because you're wanting to receive with your ego power, which is that bina, that bestowal.
Listening to this, I see this image of a corrected heart that's animated by the point, that bestowal. I don't know. Just listening to this is what I see. I see a corrected, each of us human functioning through its animated point, that connection, that creator.
Yes, we get to basically, at the end of correction, for example, we get to have both points active within us, and we know when to use bestowal for power and when to use receiving for filling. So we've got receiving bestowal. Why is Malchut called fear of the Creator? It's because Malchut is the tree of good and evil. If man merits, it is good. But if it does not, it is evil. Right? Because the idea is that the tree of good and evil is basically a tree is an intention. and the fruit is the results, the expression. So the idea is that you can use a tree of good and evil, which means that we said that good is mature and evil is immature. Right? So it's the maturing of the concepts. That's what the tree of good and evil is. It's all about cleaning your concepts. And if you clean your concepts correctly, which means that you merit, then it is good. If not, then it is evil. That means that if you correctly clean your concepts and increase your egoism, then you can cross the barrier. But if you don't do it correctly, then you won't. And this is why fear dwells in that place. You're afraid of plateauing. You're afraid of falling into a shell. Right? And this gate leads to all the goodness that exists in the world. All the goodness signifies two gates, 2 points that are as one, which is what we talked about, which is before the barrier. Then Rabbi Yossi says that all the goodness refers to the tree of life, which is entirely good and complete without evil, which is talking about end of correction. Because it is without evil, it is entirely good without evil. It means you don't have any more immature concepts, or your concepts are mature, which is good. So we talked about that the Creator is good that does good. That means he's mature and matures others.
Zakai, there's two trees here, the tree of life and the tree of good and evil?
Yes.
So the tree of life is what, the end of correction?
Yes.
And the tree of good and evil is just passing the barrier?
Yes. It's basically from before crossing the barrier until end of correction.
Okay, I got you.
Yes,
So,
yes, Yossi.
There's something that doesn't sit right for me, and that's what you said earlier about the equivalence of form between the bestowal part and the ego, meaning like, I don't know, just like I don't get it. I get parts of it maybe, but I just don't get the whole thing.
So normally, what does the ego normally want? It wants filling.
Okay, the ego wants filling, right?
Right? And bestowal is power. So far, so good?
Well, bestowal is, I have a problem with this concept.
Of power?
Yeah, power. You use it so naturally. But it's quite shallow for me.
Okay,
I don't get
the creator controls the will to receive, right? We say that, there's none else besides him. Right? What does the creator do? It doesn't receive it.
Yeah, he controls it. He shakes so
that is power. That is a force, right? Power, force, right? Control, influence, providence. These are all words that are synonyms for the creator.
Control is power?
Yeah. Well, if you're controlling someone, you have power over them.
Okay. So maybe for me, it's better to think at this point of the word control rather than power. So going back to my question, okay, so what you're actually saying is that both the will to receive as well as the will to bestow are actually a will to receive, but different things. The will to receive wants to receive feeling, while the will to bestow wants to receive control.
No, it doesn't want to receive control. It has control. The will to bestow is to bestow, to control, to manipulate. And then,
So why were you saying that they're the same? Or maybe I misunderstood you.
Right. So the problem is that below the barrier, you don't have the will to bestow. You can't sense the will to bestow. It's concealed. So then you have a problem. How do you reveal it? Right? That's the whole dichotomy you have. Because if my ego is designed to receive, and it's designed to receive filling, and the quality of the creator of bestowal, which is concealed within me in my subconscious, deep within, is the manipulation aspect, the control aspect, the power aspect. How can I go from which is revealed to me, which is my ego? How can I get from that to something which is totally concealed, the total opposite, which is power? How can I bridge that change of form? Because if I want filling, it means I want somebody else to do things for me, right? But if I want power, I want to do the thing itself. But how do I get to something that I don't have? Currently aware. How can I reveal it? That's what it's called revelation. How do I reveal this force within me that is currently in my subconscious and not my consciousness?
Okay, and the answer is?
And the answer is, right, because it sounds dichotomy. Like the ego is only designed to receive. So then the fix is, yeah, but what you can do is you want to receive power. You're like, how can you receive power? Isn't the will to bestow is to control? How can I receive power? So what you have to do is you have to convince your ego that power is actually filling. This is the highest level of filling, but it's actually filling. So then what you're doing is you actually want to receive filling. The ego is designed to receive filling. But you're lying to it because you're actually receiving power. You're receiving the quality of bestowal. So you're receiving as filling the quality of power. And then once you actually receive it, now you have that quality. Now you can use that quality. So using the quality of bestowal is to control, manipulate, influence problems. The ego is designed to receive the quality of control, of power, of the creator. But you have to convince yourself that it's filling.
And why is that a problem? I mean, like when I'm thinking to myself, do you want control? I say, yeah, I want control. It feels like something good, something filling, something powerful. So why do you have to, I mean, like you're saying you have to convince the ego. So what I'm saying is it looks like the ego is already convinced, or maybe I'm just missing something.
Well, if it was convinced, you already crossed the barrier. So the idea is until it's convinced, it doesn't actually desire it. So it's very simple. Until you've actually convinced your ego, you don't cross. And once you've convinced your ego, then you cross the barrier.
How do you go about convincing your ego that power is filling?
Collecting discernments on why power is filling, after all. To understand it's just the highest degree of filling. And you have to collect those discernments and really have the intensity for a desire.
Well, I thought about it today, and what I said is like, you know, for me, what's accessible, it feels like a more practical thing to do is to find broken concepts and clean them. For me, it feels like something more doable, something like the broken concepts are in me, let's find them and let's clean them, let's fix them, and then we will see things differently.
The problem is you don't always know what concepts are broken.
True.
And that's why you need the environment to basically shine light, you could say, on your concepts to find out which concepts are actually broken and which are not. That's why we need the environment, otherwise we just do the work by ourselves.
Okay. And another thing that sort of like passed through my mind later today was that, you know, I have this is how I thought about it. I have the will, I have the desire for bestowal inside me. I have it. The problem is that it's concealed or it's under all kind of dirty concepts, and that's why it's not revealed. So what I need to do is actually keep asking myself, what's stopping you from crossing the barrier? What's in you that is preventing you from moving forward? Is that a good approach?
Yes.
Missing?
No, it's a great approach. Like it's like that movie where it says, you know, I want the truth, and it's like you can handle the truth. It really is true. Like you think, oh, I want the truth, but can you actually handle the truth? There's a lot of discomfort in revealing the truth. So you have to basically clean those concepts that you're going to gain more than you're going to lose. And that, in fact, you're not going to lose at all, but you're only going to gain.
Yeah, the discomfort, you know, sort of like raises a concern in me. What do you mean discomfort? Discomfort, negative discomfort, positive discomfort, something new discomfort? I mean, I'd like to think that crossing the barrier is not going to be like, you know, driving with the car into a big barrier and hoping to come out in one piece on the other side.
No, of course not. The idea is that when you cross, you basically find yourself in a new situation that you don't know what it is, and it's like,
And that's the discomfort.
yeah, that's the discomfort, basically.
But that's a great discomfort. I mean, it means you're in a new stage and you're beginning to learn, absorb that you're in a new state.
Yeah, well, you're basically being born, right? That's what it means to be born in spirituality, is to cross the barrier. So you have to leave the security, you could say, of the womb, which is the environment, and actually get born out of the environment. Still connect to the environment, but connect from the outside. But then you're not going to have that security anymore. You're going to be in somewhere new. So you're going to have a little discomfort. So you have to make a choice. Do you actually want to be born or not?
Yeah, but the way you describe it right now, it feels like lonely. What you're telling me to leave the womb and be outside of it and
become independent.
But I also carry with me all my memories from the womb. I mean, I have everything I had, and I have something else on top of it.
I agree, but the idea is that you basically become, in potential, controlling your whole life. It's a lot of responsibility.
What? Sorry, go ahead, Maria. I'm talking too much. Go ahead, Maria.
I was going to say something and to see if it may help. It's as if I understand that even at 4.2, and when you're cleaning in that state, that those concepts of knowing and owning that everything that you've ever done has been in filling. It's as if you are trying to come to terms that you've never had the water hose. You've only had water. And for some reason, we think that through good deeds or through anything, we've somehow have had the water hose. We've bestowed in some form of another. And until we realize, no, there's absolutely nothing within this will to receive that we've ever bestowed. It's painful, but it's actually preparing for this great now realization that, okay, now I can egoistically realize that I do want that water hose and then go from there. I mean, there's more steps to come, but I think it's this I that feels that at one point I have bestowed, I have done good deeds, and we have to clean all of that first in order to come to terms and then to want egoistically this water hose.
Okay, thank you. That's helpful. But I'm caught on something that Zach, I hear it in Zach's voice. Maybe I'm projecting. Maybe this is me. But I'm hearing something negative about crossing the barrier. That's what I'm hearing. Discomfort, loneliness, and I've gone through a process today of telling myself, there's not going to be anything negative about crossing the barrier. It's going to be everything I have and something new. Yeah, it may come with discomfort of being in a new place, but that's the best discomfort I could wish for.
Right.
Being in a
That's
new
the
place.
discomfort. That's the discomfort. The discomfort is not, don't get your arms chopped off. The discomfort is it's new. It's like getting a new job. It's it's a new role. You're going to become the creator. You're like, okay, it's like, hello, you're now the employee of the system. Here's your handbook. You're like, okay, I'm new at this. I've never done this before. It's like, don't worry, we'll help you through it. We've got a team of specialists that have already gone through it. And they'll do training for you. Like, it's the exact sort of, you could say, sensation of reaching a new role, reaching a new position. But
Also,
this position is the creator.
Also, there's a difference between your final state in phase 4. That's a very elevated state. When you get there, you'll know where you are. You know what you're experiencing. You're getting the sense of feeling your ego to its just nth degree. And then when you cross the barrier, that is gone. And so there might be a sense of, oh, well, where'd that go? And then where am I now? So that might really, and that's, again, you leave the womb, you're in a different, room. And so I'm just saying that that disparity in itself, and I shouldn't even say disparity, that that opposite sensation from feeling totally powerful to suddenly in a fog is can be uncomfortable. And in fact, to the point where you'll wonder, no, I haven't crossed anything. I don't know what you're talking about. So that might be uncomfortable too. But no, in no way is it just a terrible, terrible state, at least that not from what I've seen and myself or heard from others.
So let me ask you a very simple question. When you were there, the moment you were there, did you say to yourself, I wish I've never gotten here?
No, but there was a time after crossing that I did feel the concern for loneliness had intensified. And that may be part of the process. I know it is. It's part of the process because then you now have to start rebuilding getting back to that. In fact, it's different. It is different. That sensation of greatness just before the barrier, you're not going to feel that same again, but it's you will feel a sense of loneliness only because you realize that you've got to build this independence. But again, you're in a stream now. Once you cross the barrier, it's like you're in this stream that is going to pull you along. It's not the same. You're not going to be pushing a boulder up a hill anymore. It's going to be very different. But again, you'll be feeling like you're alone because I'm not sure why, because just saying that it's your opportunity to start feeling and tasting and sensing as you go along. And again, the group's going to be there, but as the system pulls you, you will, without even you acknowledging what you want to sense or feel or taste, it will come to you. But you actually, there's a sense of relief because you know that it's no longer a boulder being pushed up a hill. So that's a good sense in itself. But you're not alone. Always remember that we're always all here and we've all experienced it.
Okay, and how do you get to that feeling of that surge of as you said it, Jenny, meaning using your ego to its fullest? I mean, like, what am I supposed to do to get there?
I remember wondering the same thing. And the recommendation that I got was just go out there and own the world. Look at everything and anything and just say, I own it. I own it. This is mine. This is mine. And I remember it was so silly one morning. I mean, I had really worked myself up and really desired, and I knew that the greatest sensation of my ego would mean a bust through this barrier. So I did. I just
say it again. The greatest
degree of the ego that I could attain is like a storehouse. It's like a bank that you use the rest of the time. It's that highest of height of your ego. So it was a fun. I was like, oh, wait a minute. No, so I can just desire anything and everything. Yeah, that's your job right now. So you just go out and you just desire. It's all internal. Desire it all. Don't go, taking someone's lollipop from them or anything. just it's just internalize that anything and everything. And it just might seem superficial and material, but who cares? You just desire it. And all of a sudden something will click and you absolutely feel like you own absolutely everything. Everything is created just for you. And that will happen is once you start playing that little game. And then once you get to that heightened state, it didn't last that long for me. I began to start feeling it fade. And as it faded, I was like, whoa, where'd that go? And then before you know it, I was across the barrier. So play that game with yourself.
Well, I got to tell you that.
Thanks, Jenny.
Go ahead, Jeffrey.
I just want to say thanks. That was very helpful.
Yeah, for me too. Absolutely.
I'm afraid it might happen when I'm driving a car.
Well, I can say the morning that it happened to me, I was on my way to pick up my son for something. It was early. I didn't go to work that day because I had to be there for him. And I knew this route. I knew this route like the back of my hand. And for some reason, I turned right instead of left. And I found myself like, where am I? Because you are so in this state of acquiring everything. It's just the world just suddenly something shifted. And, I very quickly regained my my sense of direction. But I remember feeling that. I was like, whoa, what's going on here? And it was just the most amazing 8 to 12 hours.
I can relate to that. Like you say, you know the route by heart, and all of a sudden you make this unprecedented left turn instead of a right. Wow.
Yeah, but listening to you, Jenny, you say grow your ego, look around, see how this is a part of you, how you own it, how it's a reflection of you, and it doesn't feel like, to me at least, or maybe I'm missing something, it doesn't feel like growing a desire. It's like, if it's already mine, what am I desiring? I'm just looking at it and I'm saying to myself, this is my reflection, this is me, everything is me, I'm everything.
Yeah, that didn't work for me. It didn't work for me, Yossi. And now I'm not sure what you are, what do you call it? Quality you are. I'm an Abraham. So mine was about environment. So built for me, it was natural for me to start building an environment, a very egoistic environment, where anything and everything that I needed in my environment was right there for me, and it felt like mine. Yours will most likely be connected to your own pain point.
Yeah, well, I just thought about it the moment you said you're an Avraham, you were looking for environment. I said to myself, I'm in Yitzhak, I'm looking at, my pain point is expression. And the moment I said expression, boom, I was filled with some warm thing. And I could see myself doing the exact same thing that I asked you earlier, meaning like walking around and saying, this is mine, everything. But the moment you look at it and I say, this is my expression, there's another flavor to it. I still need to figure it out, but thank you.
Yeah, just let it grow. And it's internal, remember, internal.
And I think on that point, we'll end the session and do the after party.